Hi, I'm Nish from Why Be Aligned. Welcome to Movement Monday. And today we are learning about the big toe. Heads up, anatomy buffs, I try and keep this simple for everyday people to be able to listen to and understand. So I will use some anatomical terminology, but I try and keep it a bit more everyday. So your big toe is also known as your great toe or your hallux, and it's the one that runs on the inside of your foot. You can see it here on my skeleton. This is our big toe. It joins onto our foot here. So we've got the joint between the toe and the ball of the foot, but these are the toe bones themselves. The big toe can actually move in 3 planes of motion. 2 are more commonly discussed than the third. I'll go over all 3 today. And essentially the big toe does the same as the other toes, but I'm just going to be focusing on this one toe today. So let's have a look at what it does. So first of all, in our side-on plane, we have got extension of the toe, otherwise known as dorsiflexion. And this is where the toe is pointing to the ceiling. We then have flexion of our toe or plantar flexion, and this is where the toe is pointing to the floor. So we can go up with this toe and we can go down, and the halfway through the toe here at this joint can also do the same thing, go up and down. So next we have our frontal, or as I like to call it, our front-on plane. So you would actually be looking at the foot directly from the front, but I'm just going to show you it upside so you can see the toe itself. So this is where we have the toe being able to move away from the other toes and towards the other toes. And these movements are called abduction and adduction. So literally like an alien abduction and then an adduction. Now, there's some slight differences in opinion in the anatomy world of which one constitutes abduction and which constitutes adduction. Some people will say when the big toe moves away from the other toes, that is abduction, while it moves in towards the other toes, that's adduction. So that's adduction. Others will say when the big toe is moving towards the center of the body, that is adduction, whereas when it is moving away from the midline of the body or the center of the body, that's abduction. But either way, in our everyday terms, the toe can move side to side, and you should be able to move this toe side to side without all these other guys joining in. Okay, then our third movement of the toe is in our transverse, or what I like to call our twisty-turny. It's our rotational plane of movement. So our toe actually has the ability to rotate. So it's able to rotate towards and away from the other toes or from the midline of the body. And I'll see if you can see that more clearly when I do this. It's actually able to rotate inwards and outwards. So imagine this was your toenail, and at rest it's pointing towards the ceiling. You can get that toenail to point more towards the center of the body or more towards the other toes. Okay, so a lot of us, due to multiple factors which I won't go into, may have lost some of these movements in our body. Maybe not fully, but possibly lost the extent of it. So if I said it should move from here to here, you might just move here to here. So, or you might just not be able to experience that movement at all. So here's some things you can do to encourage those movements back into our big toes. For our side-on movement, you can be standing on the floor or on a block. And what I want you to do is simply just lift that big toe to the ceiling and then push the big toe into the floor. Now, the reason I have a block here is you can progress it by letting the big toe knuckles be in contact with the wedge or the block. So you can see that here, and I'm just letting my toes hang off the edge, and I'm going to lift my big toe to the ceiling and then let my big toe press down towards the floor, so beyond the block. For an extra challenge, you can see if you can lift your big toe up without the others lifting up, and then push it back into the floor. And if moving that big toe completely feels tricky, then you can physically lift and lower that toe just to encourage some movement into those joints. For your abduction, adduction, you're going to try and lift your toe out away from the other toes and then take it back in towards the other toes. So the big toe is stepping out away. You're going to hold for a couple of seconds and then bring it back in. If that sideways movement feels quite difficult to you, you can again physically use your fingers to feel into that movement and start to build some movement into that toe. You can use a band around the toe to get the stretch into those muscles, or you can use toe dividers or toe spacers to go between the toes to give you that little bit of space. For your rotation, you're going to do this manually, so you're going to put one foot on the other knee or the other leg where it's comfortable for you, and then you're simply going to put your thumb and then your fingers down each side of the big toe, and you can put your other hand on your ankle if you want, or your foot, to just keep that gently in place. And you're simply going to rotate the toe towards the other toes, so thinking about that toenail facing in towards the other toes, and then rotating so the toe is facing more towards the center of the body, toe to face other toes, and then in towards the center of the body. And you can repeat that 8 to 10 times, gently and slowly rotating that toe. So those are the 3 movements of our big toe, and you now know some drills to help you get those movements confidently into your feet. And this will help everything, not just in the feet, but all the way up the body as well. If even one toe bone isn't moving well, it will have implications on the rest of your body. Everything is connected. So thank you for joining me for Movement Monday, and I'll see you next week for the next one.